supposed to be doing. So tonight we want to find out what Amazonians are expecting or what the significance of such movement really is. This is about the second time or third this year that the president is having a conversation with media personalities within the Brazilian community. Mind you, Brazil is the largest country in South America rather, and the fifth largest in the world and holds significant influence as one of the emerging powers in the world. Not forgetting it is a member of the BRICS group, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa group, which represents major economies. Brazil has also been actively involved in international organizations like the United Nations and has played a role in addressing global issues such as climate change and sustainable development. So it makes President Sako's interview with his media a very big deal, and it is laudable. What do you think about this, Only?
Well, I think that it's a great step and it's very laudable. This is a great one for Amazonians to be heard outside the shores of Africa, and for the world to get to know the diplomatic steps that President Sako is taking. And to do justice to these very topic, we have Barrister Mbeseha, who is a veteran in these regards, as he has worked with so many African and international countries as we speak. But before that, we have reports coming in from the home front. I mean, we have Capo Daniel revealing Ayaba Cho's other senator, Kemendes, killing. We also have denizens of Bangem local government area coerced to do, what they don't want to do. To vote for President Biya. You can imagine that, regardless of all of the sufferings that they've been through. On the African scene, we have Malawi facing urgent humanitarian crisis. I mean, the president declared state of disaster over droughts. And also, we would like to believe that Trump is just 3 weeks from becoming the first ex-president to go on trial. I mean, we have all of this report. But before that, we want to get the thought of Barrister T. Mbeseha as regards to the move, the diplomatic moves of the president of Amazonia. So far, so good. Barrister Mbeseha, what do you say?
I think, and I believe I'm right, that diplomacy is a multi-pronged of anything, and the preference to Brazil is not limited. It is very, very much, and we have to capitalize on that, because Brazil, as you have said in your introduction, is a very powerful country in South America. That's not all. They have created the next most powerful group in the world, the BRICS. That encompasses Brazil, it includes India, it includes Russia, and many other countries are fighting to join the BRICS. So the BRICS looks like a very powerful bloc going into the United Nations. Can this be very useful to us? Of course. Brazil, as a country, has its own allies. As a member of the BRICS, they have alliances, economic, political, human rights, and otherwise, everything that you can imagine in the world. Because we must remember, they're all members of the United Nations. Our journey, our journey of recognition, ends at the United Nations. It is peculiar. The success of a country does not depend, the independence of a country does not depend generally on the United Nations. The United Nations does not give countries independence. No, that's not their role. But they will refer to the United Nations because, as far as we are concerned, the United Nations, in fact, Amazonia is a product of the United Nations, and the United Nations grandfather of nations. And so everything we hear all the time is documented somewhere in the archives of the United Nations. And so that's why the United Nations is important. Not just because they do anything now. For example, the United Nations granted independence to the Republic of Cameroon. 1959, by 1959 resolution. Not France, because they were France was administering under the guide of the United Nations. The same with us. The United Nations, for example, did not grant independence to Nigeria. It didn't grant independence to Chad. It didn't grant independence to all these other countries that you know. Only countries that in the sphere of the United Nations look up to the United Nations for independence, which we are part of it. And so if we can reach any member of the United Nations who can say to the United Nations, you wronged these people as an organization. You have created this problem for them. Go back to it. And there are two ways the United Nations can go back to the problem. Anybody who can address them, we can go back to it through the General Assembly because we are administered under the United Nations with the Committee for Administration of the Trust Territories. That's the way to go out. That's when I was passing Resolution 1608 and other resolutions that were mentioned here. We can go, and our members they can take this matter to the Security Council of the United Nations as a security problem. Because people are dying. And so it is a very laudable effort. We shall not leave any stone unturned. And before I end this segment, I would want to congratulate and thank all those people in Brazil who are helping us to put these efforts together. The president is right here in Maryland with us in the US. If he's having these connections to somebody in Brazil or out of America, some Amazonian, a dedicated Amazonian, is there doing the groundwork, laying the foundation. And I think this is laudable. The Brazilian press, because I was talking to the Brazilian press, it's important. People read those things. Now, Brazil is trying to flex its own muscles as a power around the world. Even the United Nations think they are nowhere, but they are the largest country in Asia, in South America. They are the largest, and everything they can look for there. But they are just enough. So they are trying to flex their muscles. And they are doing it with the cooperation of India. That's the largest democracy in the world, with billions of people there. With Russia, a powerful member of the United Nations with a veto. And with other countries that can be able to have influence over our matter. So we say thank you, our comrades who made this possible. Thank you, Mr. President, for addressing the issues before it's called the Brazilian press. Thank you very much.
All right, Barrister Team. Thank you once again for joining us here. Looking at this diplomatic effort of the president in the first quarter of the year already having these meetings with the Brazilian media, what do Amazonians hope to get from these in the long run? How does it impact the Amazonian struggle?
Well, I think I have just said that the contacts with Brazil, just like the contacts with any other country around the world which is independent, could and should have a lot of influence over our struggle because we are part of the global world. But that apart, we are part of the world whose suffering, whose problem is laid on the feet of the United Nations. That's what we're just explaining. And if any country in the world, including Brazil, including the BRICS bloc, can take cognizance of what we are going through, this could and should be very, very useful in selling our cause to the United Nations. That's why I said that all our struggles end at the United Nations. Because they created this problem. There would have been no Amazonia without the United Nations. There were no Amazonia without the League of Nations that was created in 1922. After the First World War, they created the League of Nations. And the territory ceased from the defeated Germany, that included Cameroon, was divided. We have said this many times before. I said, okay, we are going to administer these people going forward. You no longer need this colony because you are now defeated. That's how Amazonia was born. That's how British Southern Cameroon was born. They call it British Southern Cameroon because the League of Nations entrusted that territory, what we call today part of British Cameroon, which is now Amazonia, to be mandated to the League of Nations. The League of Nations gave it over to the UK. In 1945, when the United Nations was formed, from 1956-46, the very United Nations decided to transfer this very territory called Amazonia to confirm the existence of Amazonia to be administered by the UK. That's why we call it, we became a trust territory, to be administered by the UK. And as per the articles of the United Nations Charter 76B, to take us to independence. And they didn't do it, they didn't finish their job. Today, Brazil, Russia, India, all these countries are members of the United Nations. If they can listen to our case, which is all documented right there, this will be very, very important for us. Anybody can take it up. But when you take it up there, you need allies. If it is taken up by Nigeria, you need allies. Because the United Nations speaks through resolutions. Resolutions are passed by member countries. And so the more we say this thing to our people, to our friends, to our sympathizers, the better for us. So we can only encourage the president to multiply these efforts beyond Brazil. If we can reach other countries, that would be a wonderful, commendable effort. But the effort already to Brazil is important. It is very important because Brazil also, we have just talked about the BRICS. The BRICS is a new organization just growing up and becoming, almost trying to become more powerful than the United Nations. By the presence of India, which is the largest country in the world in terms of population, by the presence of China, which is a very powerful place up there, by the presence of Russia and other countries fighting to join. So we stand to benefit from them. We start to benefit from that connection. That will make our journey easier and probably faster. I wonder if that addresses the question you were asking.